Hi, this is Nahi Kazaza, and welcome to our third class in the Accelerated Growth Program. What we're going to do today is talk to you a little bit more about what I mean when I talk about unmet needs. So you've been working on a trigger log, and by now you should have at least 10 entries, and you should be noticing some patterns. And you'll notice that in one of these columns, I keep asking you, what did I most need in the moment? So why am I asking you that? Well, I'm asking you that because that's where you're going to get your data to help you decide where to go next in the program. But why is that data important? And to know that, what we have to do is go back and take a look at human needs. So the model of human needs that I like to use is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's one of my favorite needs models. There are other needs models out there that focus more on the needs that people have in corporate environment, but Maslow's hierarchy is a great place to start, and it's a model of needs that is universal. Essentially, the idea behind Maslow's hierarchy is that the only thing that motivates a human being is getting their needs met. And we're defining needs as what you need to survive in this world. So you are a biological being, and your biological purpose is to survive and reproduce. So we're programmed to seek information that's critical to our survival and act on it. If you think about it by looking at this pyramid, Maslow's hierarchy shows our needs in categories, prioritized literally on how critical those needs are to survival. So if you look down here at physiological and biological, those are things like air, water, basic things we need to be healthy and even function in the world. So these are organized in order of importance to survival. So for example, if somebody's holding your head underwater or you're having an asthma attack and access to air suddenly becomes really important, that becomes the most critical and urgent thing. And you're not going to be worried about what your position at work is. But this is the way the hierarchy goes. So we have a whole category of physiological, biological needs. Those are the needs that we just need to function in life. Then the next level of needs is safety. We have to make sure that we're not being threatened. You know, there's not a tiger threatening to eat us, or there's not someone holding a gun to our head. In the United States right now, usually safety needs are most expressed in our concerns about whether we're going to end up homeless, whether we're going to be able to keep our house. So often our financial security will fall into this box of safety needs. Then we get to love and belonging. And it might not seem like we need love and belonging to survive, but human beings cannot survive in isolation. We need to be in communities. And even though in this modern world it's probably technically possible for a human being to survive without a lot of other people around, it's not the optimal circumstance. And we are programmed to seek community with others, to want to be in a tribe, to want to have a close circle of friends, and to feel horrible when we don't. So it's important to understand that you're going to feel just as panicky when someone that you love rejects you as you are when someone's threatening to drown you. Those panic reactions are what I call triggers. And what triggers are emotional reactions. They're signs that one of your needs is about to not be met. It puts you in fight, flight, or freeze mode. It makes you feel threatened. Maslow's hierarchy shows our needs in categories. The bottom two categories may seem self-explanatory, but it's important to understand that because we're social animals, our survival depends on our ability to work successfully together in organized communities. We don't survive long when we're isolated or banished or rejected by our social groups. And the self-esteem needs are our needs for status within our social group. So once we feel pretty solid in a social group, we also have a tendency to want to increase our status within that social group, thus getting us more and more and more of what we need. Okay? So when you feel triggered, that is a sign that you're missing out on one of these needs, something within this. So when I showed you my trigger log in the first video, I talked about losing confidence and a sense of capability. That could be my self-esteem needs, right? So if I don't have confidence, if I don't have a sense of capability, then I'm feeling depleted here, that I'm not going to be able to continue to move up in my status within my community. And that's very scary to me, to not be able to complete things or accomplish things. And that could actually go all the way down to my safety beliefs, because if I really start feeling scared that I'm not capable of doing things or accomplishing the things that are required for me to do to earn money, and money is what I need to keep my house, and keeping my house is what I need to feel safe and sheltered in the world, then there's even a more primary need at stake here. So what you'll find is every time you're triggered or any time that you have an emotional reaction, this is what's going on. Your pyramid feels like it has holes in it. Sometimes it's not a big deal. Sometimes you feel thirsty and you have a refrigerated full of water, so all you have to do is go down and grab a water, right? Sometimes you feel that need for air because you're holding your breath because you're trying to swim underwater for a whole length of a pool. And so you know that all you have to do is pop up for air. When you know that what you need is abundant to you in the world, you don't usually have a strong negative reaction. You don't have that panic reaction when you feel that it's gone. You simply get it met. But sometimes you start thinking that it's scarce. So for example, if I start feeling thirsty and I feel an abundance of water, I'll just go get some water. But if I start feeling thirsty and I'm in a desert and there isn't any clean water and all the water I have is in my backpack, which only includes 2 bottles, I might literally start worrying and panicking. And so what we have here in the green box is a scarcity belief. A scarcity belief is your belief about whether or not what you need in the world that is now threatened is available in abundance, or is it scarce? If you feel that it's scarce, your panic is going to be even stronger. Your trigger is going to be stronger. So when we go back to this trigger log, you are writing the strength of your emotional reaction on a scale of 1 to 10. If you have some 10s here, those are things that you probably feel are really scarce. And what you're going to look at is over on this column, this is the thing that you're actually feeling is scarce. So this is where you're going to start getting some of your insights. All right. Let's go a little bit more into the background of this. So if you've had children or witnessed children, you'll notice that babies are usually pretty happy unless they're in pain. When we're in the womb, all of our needs are met. And when we're first born, there's really no understanding that we're separate from the world around us. So we continue to expect our needs to be met. And when we have an unmet need, like let's say we're hungry or we feel uncomfortable, we just scream. It's just a very natural reaction. And then usually the need gets met. And we don't have a lot of awareness about how that happens when we're an infant. But when we get to about 6 months, we begin to realize that what's happening is not so automatic. What's happening is mother comes or caregiver comes, and then need gets met by that caregiver who's not always there. And that's when separation anxiety hits. We start realizing that our very survival depends on us keeping someone outside ourselves close, usually the mother. And we don't have control over that. So that's when you see the horror that these young children feel when they lose their mothers, when they feel that threat of separation. It's that threat that their very survival is at stake. As we grow up, we start figuring out how to get our needs met by ourselves. And that's an empowering time. So typically as a child, we feel separation anxiety, but then we start realizing it's not only mom that needs to meet these needs. There are other ways that we can get the needs met. There are other people in the world that will help us get our needs met. But wow, in some cases, we can actually stand up and walk and go get what it is that we need. So we start feeling more and more empowered, and we start feeling a sense of autonomy and independence, and we start figuring out how to get our needs met. But in some cases, there are certain things that we don't ever figure out how to get met. And we all have some of these. We all have a pattern. We all have something that tended to distress us a lot when we were younger, even if we were in great families. This could be, let's say you're a child in a large family and you want attention or love and your parents ignore you. Typically, parents aren't ignoring you because they're intending to ignore you. Typically, parents are ignoring you because they're trying to pay attention to a lot of different things, and they may not notice that you need attention. Other people don't know how we're feeling inside, and parents, no matter how hard they try, are not going to know 100% of the time what we need. So often what happens is a breakdown when we're communicating in our family. And the bigger the family, the more people we're focused on to try to get our needs met. So if you're a younger child, you're going to be looking at your older siblings and your parents to be getting your unmet needs met. And older siblings are going to be even more clueless than parents about what it is that you need because they're wrapped up in their own growth. So you may have them on a pedestal, but at the same time, they're not aware of your needs. So inevitably, you're going to have some things that over and over again you try to get, whether it's attention, love, usually it's some form of love, and you're just not getting it. You're banging your head against the wall. And then you develop a belief, and we call that your scarcity belief. You begin to believe that something in the world that you need to survive, love and belonging, is scarce out there. You have to work really hard to get it. And because it hurts to ask for it, you decide that you're going to live your life without it because it's scarce. So you're going to start to become very frugal about that particular thing. So if it's attention or it's love, you're going to start savoring the love that you get and holding on to it as hard as you can. And you're not going to expect it to come to you freely. And so what it feels like, what your unmet needs feel like in the world, is like something you desperately need and aren't letting in. What this accelerated growth process does is it identifies what it is that you're blocking, helps you realize that you're blocking it, helps you identify what you thought was scarce when you were young, helps you realize that it's not scarce anymore, and helps you change the thinking patterns that have been blocking you from getting it in the past. I know that sounds pretty heavy now, but that's the beginning of the background, and as we continue through this class, we'll keep telling you more about it. Meanwhile, this might be a good time to start writing your insights and reflections, and maybe even keeping a journal as you're getting ahas and insights, thinking about your past and thinking about all these reactions that you're having and what patterns you're seeing in your trigger log. Look forward to seeing you again soon.